Hello, and welcome to 5 for Friday for this Friday, July 7th, 2023. Welcome to the third quarter of the year. Time sure does fly, doesn't it? Thanks for joining me to learn about 5 stories that are signals of change that you should be alert to as a small business owner. I bet you didn't even know you could use a futurist on your team alerting you to these changes, but believe me, we live in a world full of change, and I know you don't have the time to keep up, so let me do it for you. You ready to get started with this week's topics? Let's get going. We'll start with topic number 1, eVTOLs, EVTOLS, or electric vertical takeoff and land vehicles. One of my favorite topics is I dream of traveling like I'm Jane Jetson. Just in the past week or so, there are 3 companies that are making progress with their flying vehicles. One is planning to transport passengers for the 2024 Paris Olympics, and 2 others just got certification from the FAA to begin testing their vehicles. How exciting! Another company is working on an LTA instead of an eVTOL. What is that, you ask? Why, it's a lighter-than-air vehicle, which is some serious rebranding after the whole Hindenburg incident from nearly 90 years ago. I can't see any of these companies making serious traction anytime soon. Our infrastructure is just not set up for cars that fly, and the FAA is struggling as it is, just with planes and some drones. But be on the lookout for progress. You never know. Moving on to story number 2, China in the news again. First, we have 2 Chinese retailers battling for more American customers. Newer company Temu is everywhere on social media and online ads, selling products for rock-bottom prices and spending so much to stand out that they are losing money right now. And more established fast fashion firm Shein is trying hard to shed its Chinese image and convince U.S. customers that it doesn't actually have problems with copyright infringement or textile waste or questionable labor practices. Beyond that, U.S. companies are working hard to separate their Chinese sales and customers from the rest of the world to protect themselves from the possibility of serious issues between the U.S. and China. More stories on China in the newsletter, so check it out if you subscribe. Our political relationship is not looking great right now, but we can't seem to quit Chinese fast and cheap fashion. And with that, let's move on to story number 3, all about Amazon. First, Amazon has struggled enough post-COVID that it ended up cutting the budget for its fancy HQ2 headquarters in half, with half the number of employees planned as well. And the company is in trouble with the FTC for making it way too difficult to ever cancel your Amazon Prime subscription, requiring so many menus and choices that most people just give up. Meanwhile, the company continues to work to improve delivery times to maintain our addiction to Prime, by adding robots to deliver packages to trucks at the distribution centers and signing up small local businesses to be their last mile for package delivery. And AI is top of mind for Amazon since the AI bots took over the Kindle best-selling list with some fake books and fake titles made up by the bots with names that are nonsensical like Apricot Barcode Architecture. Now that sounds like a page-turner. All right, a bit more on newsletter on Amazon, but the main lesson is, as goes Amazon, so goes the rest of the world. If something matters to them, expect it to matter to the rest of us, as they practically control the world these days. All right, moving on to story number 4, generational differences. Let's look at some key concerns of some of the different age groups, starting with baby boomers. It turns out many of them have no interest in quitting their job, even in their 80s. They prefer to continue to make money, avoid being idle, and feel like they're making a difference by working, and that trend only continues to grow. But these same boomers apparently have plenty of money left to help them retire, holding on to a massive $75 trillion nest egg that they must either spend down or pass on to the next generation. Now let's look at the youngest generation, the Gen Zers. A select group of college students have hit pay dirt with internships on Wall Street, which bring in $120 an hour over the summer. Unreal. But internships for the rest of the Gen Zers are harder to come by than in past years. Either way, experts say we should be paying attention to what matters to Gen Z because they are going to be the creators of the workplace of tomorrow. There's more on Japanese millennials and their issues in the newsletter, but we skipped over the Gen Xers altogether. So think about the value of having a workforce diverse in age groups and how each age group can add a different and helpful perspective to things. That's a benefit for everyone. All right, let's move on to our final story, story number 5. Following up from a story a couple weeks ago, let's explore toxic masculinity among tech bros. Perhaps you recall that Mark Zuckerberg has challenged Elon Musk to a cage fight. Potentially for real? Airbnb CEO stepped in to challenge any tech CEO to a bench press contest as well. Not surprising, I guess, since it turns out that tech bros are into psychedelics, perhaps to gain an edge against the competition, either in tech innovation or a cage match? Fortunately, saner minds have prevailed for now, with Elon Musk's mom begging them all to just cut it out and fight with words only. Go moms. 2 quick bonus stories with more detail in the newsletter. Bonus story number 1, one more job AI is taking over. Tennis commentary at Wimbledon, which is currently underway this week in England. And bonus story number 2, a janitor from a contract cleaning service destroyed decades of groundbreaking work by shutting off the breaker to a lab freezer with samples in it to stop an annoying beeping sound. Oops. All right, and with that, thanks for joining me for this week's 5 for Friday. If you want to get all the links, all the resources, and my full take on these topics, then be sure to check out my subscription newsletter that gives you everything in the video and more. And as always, I hope you'll sign up to receive these videos directly from me or subscribe on YouTube so you can continue to hear about these signals of change that could impact your small business. Thanks for joining me, and happy Friday.